Death is the one story every life shares, but the conversations around it rarely happen. Welcome to the show that opens the doors to the funeral profession. The people, the stories, and the truths most never hear. This is As the Hearse Turns.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
So we are going to play a little catch up because we still can't stream directly to As the Hearse Turns because the actual page hasn't been around for 60 days and Facebook has that weird rule.
Right.
So I'm going to actually go to the YouTube channel and share that to the As the Hearse Turns Facebook page.
And now you want me to go on the Berg page and share from Harkins.
Yeah. That way people won't Berg and things like that. And if you want to share it over to your profile.
Got it. Cool. Okay.
So occupancy.
Yeah. We finally got our certificate of occupancy this morning. It has been a tense household the last couple of days. We did fail our first inspection, and that happened while we were away on vacation.
Now, let's clarify, though, that when you say inspection, this is the township inspections, not anything with the state, not anything like that.
No. And it was something with one of the corners in the bathrooms and some insulation in the attic at the funeral home. And so they gave us a list of a couple items that needed attention. And then once those were fixed, I don't know what that was.
Sounds like somebody.
So once that was fixed and we were ready to go, then we called the township to come back in to inspect. So of course, Nate and I walked in today and we're just like praying this all happens because we need to have our certificate of occupancy in order to have our state board inspection. So now that's next, and just a couple little things we need to do over the next couple of weeks, but we will officially be out of our current location by May 15th. We have to be.
Okay.
And there are no ifs, ands, or buts. We will be out.
But at least now, I mean, that was one of the major hurdles right there.
It was a major hurdle, and it was very nerve-wracking leaving for vacation and not having that certificate of occupancy. And hearing that we failed the township's inspection while we were away was not good news.
But again, this was not something that you guys had any control over. These were this was contractor, logistical planning things like that.
I mean, more insulation in the attic, just things that, have nothing to do with our operations and the way we run our business. We didn't fail because we're doing sketchy stuff behind the scenes. You know, we're in a tough township.
I mean, they want to make sure it's right. And it really is for safeguards for one, you guys as the owners, and safeguards for are the people that want to utilize the building. So it's a hurdle.
Making sure we have all of our
ADA placards, handicap
ADA
placards,
signage, everything. Making sure the parking lot has the minimum number of parking handicap parking spaces. So
now, how do they come up with that equation? Now I'm curious. So is it based on the amount of parking spaces you have that says how many handicap spaces?
I think so. And then the parking is based off of your square footage. So when we went in to the township initially with this project, based on our square footage, they wanted us to have like 240 parking spaces. And so we requested a variance because the general public doesn't have access to all 15,000 square feet. The general public might only have access to 9,000 square feet.
So, I mean, that's a very valid point because the funeral home is huge. Like those that have come for the open house will see the true, like the footprint is big, but the actual public facing size, yes, there's a ton of space, but you're not even seeing. I don't even think the public facing side sees half of the space of the funeral home.
No, there's a lot of office space and just behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
So
let's see, we've got about 57 people that are in now. So Friday night conversations with Chris and Kath. So I think I started it this morning because I saw something on my feed on Facebook, and I actually screenshotted it and sent it to Katharine, and I was like, look at this. And I mean, the actual post was it's clear that it's an AI generated picture.
Yes.
I mean, because the casket is reversed essentially, and it was talking about how the funeral directors that are doing such things like me, Catherine, and there's tons of other funeral directors out there that are trying to educate the public through videos and engaging content and things like that. That I guess we're not being reverent. We're disrespecting
Mm.
caskets and things. I know one of them they talked about the picture, like taking a picture in a casket.
There was a comment in the caption of the AI generated photo, and that's what stuck with me. It was the comment about, we shouldn't be sitting in caskets and we shouldn't be posing with them and this and that. And right away I'm thinking, I did a video where I sat in a casket. Yes, I absolutely did. Was I being disrespectful in that video? I don't know. What do they see as disrespectful? To me, that was just me showing you what I wanted, because I'm asked regularly what I want for my funeral services and what type of service do you want and what type of casket do you want. But just humanizing what we do and showing
Yeah.
you that it's not scary. This doesn't have to be a scary topic. Now, people that I don't know, use a casket as a prop at Halloween in their front yard, if that's what they want to do, that's on them. You'll never see that at our house. So I think there can be a fine line with how you use a casket, but for educational purposes, absolutely. And even last night, we had a post go out, and it was a picture of, it was actually one of your caskets, Chris. I took a picture of it while it was in our prep room, because I get asked, how can you tell the head end from the foot end? And I thought, well, for the general public, if they see a sticker at the foot end or at one end of the casket, they know that's the foot end of the casket. So how can you tell the difference? Look for the sticker. So we use them for educational purposes, but the post that you sent me this morning was really just kind of almost knocking what some of us are doing on social media as far as educating.
So I've actually pulled up the post, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. Okay, so it says, in the funeral profession, we are entrusted with something sacred. A casket is not a prop. It is not a stage. It's not a place for curiosity, experimentation, or social media trends. It is the final resting place for someone who is deeply loved. Recently, I've seen growing interest in individuals posing for photos, in caskets, or even using them for meditation or novelty experiences. While these actions may be intended as harmless or symbolic, they can unintentionally diminish the meaning and dignity that a casket represents. In our profession, we view the casket as a space reserved exclusively for the deceased, handled with care, reverence, and purpose. It represents a family's grief, their love, and their final act of honoring a life. As funeral professionals, part of our role is to preserve that sense of dignity, not just in how we care for the deceased, but in how we help the public understand. Now, how we help the public understand the significance of what we do. Respect matters, language matters, and how we treat the symbols of death and remembrance matters. Let's continue to uphold the standards of care, professionalism, and reverence that families place in their trust in us to maintain.
Well, I'm not meditating in a casket. I've never done that. That would be a little odd.
I don't even think I've ever seen that. And I
No.
mean, we're very active on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen anyone meditating in a casket. I do not believe that anything that either you have put out has been something that is disrespectful, irreverent, or anything like that. Let's be very clear, too. The casket that you use is, in fact, your casket.
Which the township inspector loved, by the way. I forgot to mention that. He commented how much he loved the pink casket today when he was in the funeral home. But yes, that casket was purchased solely for educational purposes. It's not like we get a casket in and it's for John Smith or Joe, whoever, and we want to test it out and we sit in the casket. No, I seriously, I can say I've never sat in a casket other than the pink one. I have taken a selfie, a very tasteful selfie, next to a bronze casket, because that's like the Ferrari of caskets.
And you're probably only going to see one, maybe two in your entire career.
Yes.
I mean, and the casket that we have used, that we put Troy in lovingly, that is a casket that was inherited when you guys purchased the firm, and has just been down in the old showroom for God knows how long.
In the dungeon.
Yes. And, the caskets that are shown, that if we're explaining something, no one has been in those caskets except for the folks that are intended to go into those caskets at the appropriate time. The last month, I think it has been absolutely brutal. And here's the thing: people do not see, because you filter the comments that are extremely inappropriate, the vulgar comments. It is just disgusting. If people talk to their wives or their daughters with the comments that get sent through, it is so distasteful.
Mm-hmm.
The words that are used, what you are called, people come at me just because of my appearance, but that is nowhere near some of the things that have been sent to you in the last month or so. And what I find interesting, in a lot of people support and have started following As the Hearse Turns.
Mm-hmm.
And they comment and they want engagement and they want us to talk about this topic or that topic, but they have been so disrespectful and so rude on the Berg page.
Yes, I shared with you a little bit ago that there's some names that I've seen pop up, and I think, oh, you're the one I blocked a year ago because you were very disrespectful. But yet in our profession, we claim we treat others with kindness and compassion and respect, but you are so quick to attack me, a stranger that you don't even know, on the internet. Yeah. And I find some individuals in our profession to be extremely, extremely hypocritical.
Well, I find it, and we talked about it before we went live, is that I wonder, and I hope to, whatever supreme being you might believe in, and it is not true, mm-hmm. is that folks see a male and a female here, but they mainly see you because you are the face of Berg. And do they have a problem that is solely just a female?
Yeah, and I've been put down. I shared with you the comment that came through from another funeral director this morning. Let me find it.
I have to abbreviate some of the words.
I'm not going to read that one unless you think I should. Unless you think I should.
Know what, Catherine, we're just going to be live. It is just me and you tonight. We're not doing a Q&A type thing. We're just going to talk and have people join us. If we see a comment that we want to address, we'll address it. But I think, yes, we should, let's put it out there. Okay. And I think we talked about that's what we're going to do on this channel.
So I'm going to read you one comment. It's not that bad, but then I'll read you the other one. And if I disappear from the screen, it means that Facebook has flagged me and kicked me off from my language. I'm going to keep it somewhat appropriate, but this actually came from a funeral director, and he says, does she really actually embalm by herself, or does she walk around the prep room shooting videos? A pink embalming machine is the goofiest thing I've ever heard of, almost like a Barbie doll thing. So that's coming from another funeral director, but that's
and is it a male or a female?
Male.
Okay.
And that's a frigid embalming machine. You can get that in blue. You can
purple?
Get it in yellow, purple. I just wanted it in pink. So it was raining really bad last night. I'm sure anyone here locally knows that. And the rain woke me up. And of course I can't sleep. So I get on Facebook and I'm just scrolling through comments, which I'm trying to make a conscious effort to not go into the hidden comments section because they're usually not the best. But I'm not going to read to you the beginning part of this comment just because this man was making comments about my body that I personally feel very uncomfortable saying on here. But I was told that I'm a complete money mongering whore, and he hopes that my family gets effed over like I do to people. And I think sometimes there's just this idea that, we decided one day we're going to be funeral directors because we're going to make all this money and we get to drive a fancy car and dress up every day and yada, yada. And Chris, you know that today was a heavy day for us at the funeral home.
Yeah.
We got one of those calls, and I get chills right now thinking about it, but answering service sends a message through to us, and I'm scrolling through, and I remember exactly where I was sitting when I read the message today, and my mouth just dropped. And I started to get emotional. And I think, you know what? I do this because I truly care and because I love to pour love and compassion into my work. I'm not in this for the money.
Yep.
And that's, maybe in a couple of years, I'll have a really interesting story to tell about this chapter in our lives right now, but it has absolutely nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with care and compassion, and me truly just, I immerse myself in this work and love being able to care for others. But today was a heavy day, and I pray to God I don't get one of those phone calls I hope I never get one again.
We never, those are the calls that we never ever want to see. But it does come with the territory and our profession. But it's one of those ones where you become humbled that you were called.
Yes.
You never want to have to serve a family like that or for that circumstance, but you're humbled and honored that they called you to care for that individual. And that speaks volumes. And, I don't think the last 60 days, the amount of people that says funeral directors in general just do this for the money. And don't get me wrong, we earn a paycheck. We have to keep the lights on. You guys have to make sure payroll is there. You have a family to provide for. This is a business. We are here to provide a service for compensation. But we literally put portions of ourselves into these services every single time we serve a family.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, they only see a small fraction, maybe, and if they come just for the funeral, they may see just an hour worth of our time.
Yes.
But they don't know what's gone into that hour. The past week, caring for the lady I just cared for, that, their family, like I told you, I was like, when I got on, I'm like, I'm tired, but it's a good tired. And it's one of those things where when I was driving back from the cemetery today, coming back up the road, it hit me, and I was just like, because your adrenaline's going, because you want every little thing to be right. You want to make sure nothing can go wrong for this family. You are the person that they're looking for to direct and make sure everything is perfect. And then when it's done, once that vault let is set, once the vault is in the ground, you get to take that sigh of relief. And then all of a sudden it just feels like a balloon deflating.
Yes.
And when you're doing multiple services a week, we do have an amazing support. We have support staff, we have other directors and all, but still it takes it out of you.
It does.
And then you turn around and you get bombarded with, oh, you really don't care about people. All you guys are doing is you want clicks. And I don't think people understand, we're not, making all this money on social media. It is absolutely ridiculous to sit there and say we're just doing this for entertainment. If there could be so many other things you could do with your time and I can do with my time. But we care so much about our profession that we want to share it.
Absolutely. And I think, one thing, you notice this when you have a video that starts getting traction, you start getting followers. And I think people on the outside see this and they think they're just concerned about their following. Well, we can't help it if we have a video that people are clicking on and watching, and you get followers. And I think that's there's this big idea out there. I know with me, people think that we're out here just trying to become social media influencers. I cannot tell you how excited I am to get into that new funeral home and get back to funeral directing. And I've had people say, well, are you going to stop your videos? Are you going to stop educating online? No, but the conversation we had in the prep room the other day when I was down at Harkins, I do think that I'm in a bit of a season right now of change and just shifting things around and reorganizing. But when you have those videos that get traction and they do go viral, that's where the negativity comes. And that's where you hear that all you care about is money. You rip families off. How dare you charge for additional work because someone's had an autopsy or, they were an organ donor. I got that on that video. I think it was a video that posted last night, but people couldn't understand why we charge extra, because we'll sometimes stand back in that prep room for 6 or 8 hours or more working on someone when maybe a standard embalming takes 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets discouraging, but then you have times, and I can't tell you, like we talked about it the other day, because like I said, going back to this most recent, and the only reason I am speaking about this most recent case is that I'm the family and I are extremely, extremely close, and I know that it's okay. Is that when I went to the residence, brought the loved one into our care, went back, did the embalming and stuff. Then you came down the other day and we were talking, and you were like, I can stay, I can help. I had that other funeral I was taking care of, serving that family. And the work that you did helped so much to where the husband said at the viewing, he's like, thank you for giving me my wife back. And even if it's only for a day, even if it's only for an hour or 2 days, for us to be able to give that family their loved one back, give them their dignity back.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do this. It's not about the money. It's not, it's the hug. It's the thank you at the end. That means so much. And I don't understand why so much negativity comes from other funeral directors, other licensees, unless it's like you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wonders if maybe they're working for someone and they don't have the ability to make those decisions on their own, because I can guarantee you, if they were able to just go out and start marketing and getting themselves out and exposing themselves on social media, they would. There's so much benefit to that, especially with the general public. Nathan and I go places. I was at a hospice event the other night, and so many ladies came up to me and said, thank you for doing that. And by the way, I told my husband, if something happens to me, I want to come to you, because we've showed them who we are, what we're able to do, but we're also just real life. We're real people. We're not just these like statues that stand there. And, we've built relationships, and we've pulled back that curtain and remain transparent. And I don't know, maybe these directors have just lived in the shadows and, back in the prep room for so long. And now here these younger directors are coming out and about on social media, and they feel like we've lost control. We don't have control anymore. And when you ask them, what's the big secret? They can't give you a valid answer.
There is no secret.
Yeah. Excuse me. My nose is running. I got a little emotional earlier.
So Rhonda Lee says, I don't think other directors are truly jealous. So I'm not saying that they are jealous of us per se. I think they're jealous because they're handcuffed in. Most, especially if you work for a corporate ran facility or a firm, you're going to have very strict non-disclosures, social media policies, things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, you're never going to see a decedent. You're never going to see something that would, put someone's information out there on, any of our social medias or any of our content. But I do believe that there are older funeral directors that are resistant to change, that have a serious problem with people like Katharine and I, because they don't see value and they think that, what we're doing is not doing anything to better the profession or anything along those lines. So I do think if jealousy is not the right word, then I think they're just catty.
The video that Sam and I did, it was the, I don't know, 26-second video of him using the overhead lift and lowering me into the casket. I got a comment yesterday from a lady, which, hold on a second. I want to introduce you to the operator. Sam is here.
Hello.
Sam.
So the intention of that video was, number one, to show you how it worked, but to show you how simple it is to move someone from a cot or a dressing table or an embalming table. Sam's going to be 13 in, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, in less than 2 weeks. Actually, less than 2
April
weeks.
6th.
And he was able to move me from the prep table over to the casket. So it was simple, easy to use. We wanted to show the community that. And this lady commented, and why would anyone want to do that? I'm from the funeral industry. So sad. So I go to her profile. I want to know where she worked. She worked for a cremation society.
I'm not going hopefully it's not one of nobody that I know. I don't think.
No.
Okay.
Let's see what else. She worked at she worked at a cremation society, and she worked for one of the big corporations.
Well, I mean, again, my biggest gripe to this is, what's the secret?
Right.
It's an overhead lift.
Mm-hmm.
What is the you can go onto YouTube. You can, and I've seen them come across. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they come across our, like, you know how you can see like different reels and stuff on your Facebook feed, and it's like either from South America. I don't know if it's like Mexico or whatnot, but it is true. Like, you see a decedent, you see them on they're embalming. How Facebook allows that, I don't understand.
Yes.
But you don't see people going there and chastising them.
No. And it's interesting you say that, because a couple weeks ago, we got a call from a family, and their loved one passed in the Philippines. And I said, it's just going to make sense for you to work directly with the funeral home there, because this individual was going.
Oh, no, if you don't want to hear it, you can go to another page. This is what we're going to talk about tonight.
Bye. So loved one passed in the Philippines. They were going to be cremated. And I said, well, it really doesn't make sense for me to get involved in that situation, but I'll give you some guidance. And so I told them, here's what you want to ask for. Here's what you want to do. And by the way, let's get a letter typed up that you sign stating that you do not give permission for any photography or any recording of your loved one. And you don't agree to that being posted online. And I said, I gotta say this, because I see this stuff online, and I don't want that to happen to you.
Absolutely.
And so we did. We got it. We got it in writing, and we got it to the funeral home.
Yeah. I mean, you see so much stuff. And again, there was no financial gain for that for you. You just help that person. You help that family.
Nope.
We had, what was it? After our first live, the lady called from Seattle. And
yes.
Was asking, she's like, hey, she called us at Harkin. She's like, I saw you on social media. I feel like I can trust you. I want to know how I can, I had a loved one pass away in another country. How can I get them home? And it's just talking to her, figuring out what she needs, and then sending them that information, giving her that information. You need to call this, find a funeral home local to you. What do you want to have? What are you looking for? What type of disposition? And just trying to give them the keys. We spent 20, 30 minutes on the phone, But I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to say, hey, what's your email so I can send you an invoice because I'm going to send you my hourly rate.
Yep. You want people to be informed and have the tools they need to make informed decisions. The education.
And that is the key, because you know what, and this probably goes back to why people don't want this happening. It's because the ones that don't want this to happen, 9 out of 10 times are doing something wrong. They're either trying to take advantage of people, they're trying to be shisty, stuff like that. And if we can make sure, even if the consumer does not come to us, that they are properly educated and prepared and know what questions to ask and what the expectations are, that we've done something beneficial. But we're screwing them over, you know? So
yeah. There's a lot that we do. I had someone reach out to me, and I can't remember exactly how they said it, but basically we should give away certain services. And my reply back to them was, what we do behind the scenes is our business. And have there been services that we've donated? Absolutely. But I don't feel a need to come out and pat myself on the back and say, hey, we did this today. Yep. I mean, I can't stand that when I see someone, that donates or does something and they need to just put it on
validation.
Do it and be quiet. Yep. Like, gosh.
Well, Barb says funeral service used to be that you were part of the good old boys club. What the two of you are doing is fantastic. Keep on with what you're doing. You are appreciated. The sad part is the good old boy clubs still exist.
It does.
It really does in this industry. And I don't like the word.
Thank you, Barb.
There's still a lot of, what was it when Tim was talking on our last live that we had with the other directors, where the male grave diggers will only send the invoices directed to him, not to his business partner who is a female.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's like, why?
Right.
Like, get over yourself. I guarantee you these guys that are coming on here, running their mouth, saying the stuff, leaving the comments, doing this. A lot of them are scam profiles or are like mass profiles, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you their wives all wear the pants at home and control everything. And this is the only way they get their jeebs off, by coming on here and belittling other people.
You're right. I never thought of it like that.
I'm serious. Think about it. And it just clicked with I'm thinking about it. I'm like, they come here, they get to be a keyboard warrior, they get to belittle a lady, and it's BS. It's not right. And you know what? As a father, I hope to God that we're installing and we're trying to stop this whole misogynistic mentality that still exists, but only on social media. Because there's not misogyny out in the real world. Yes, there is. It's just not as vocalized, because you can come here, hide who you are, and do it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's BS. It's so wrong.
Yeah.
And then the worst part is that no one actually steps in and says something. It's one of those situations where you see something wrong happening, but you're like, oh man, I shouldn't get involved. I shouldn't say anything. Well, you know what? Now you're just saying that's acceptable. Until we start being vocal and saying, you know what, dude, shut your mouth, sit down, go back home. Your wife's going to put you in the corner. We don't need this stuff. Nothing's going to change. Where the other part of this is not only the men, it's the women that either have insecurities about themselves and they want to find something to come out at someone else for. There's nothing more empowering. And my wife, Michelle, teaches this to Skylar, my daughter, all the time. Be a girl's girl. Don't sit there and badmouth someone. Don't talk down to someone. Find a reason to lift them up. Find a reason to compliment them.
Yep.
Be there. Be a girl's girl. Don't be part of the, what was that?
Mean girls.
Yes. Don't be a mean girl. Don't have the hate book.
Right. Yep.
All right. I'm done my tirade for right now.
No. You're spot on. Yeah. We we've definitely seen our fair share of bullying here online, probably more in the last 3 months than ever. And I have a, I have a backbone and I have a voice, and sometimes I'll type something out and I think, why am I even going to bother? Like, why do I even care? This person is obviously unhappy. They're projecting onto me, and my life's good. I have my awesome husband. I have 2 healthy boys. I have a job that I love.
Yep.
Why even give them any of our attention? So I've gone back to just blocking. If I see someone type something that just doesn't sit well with me, you're getting blocked. We don't have time for that on our page. And also too, we have families that do come to our page, and I want it to remain respectful. I don't need a family seeing that comment that I read to you earlier.
So, and here's a question: is this a good segue into maybe talking about like the different paths that you're looking to take with the Berg page, we're going to take with Harkin's page, and then what we're going to do here?
Yeah. Yes. So the Berg page really started out with just general educational content, and that started close to 3 years ago. It's really hard to believe that well, let me think about this. We started it in November of 23 is when we started with Ryan at Disrupt. So whatever, 2.5 years. And it was just, educational videos. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go into the prep room and I'm going to do what we've always been told not to do. And that was when we noticed, obviously, our engagement climbing on Facebook, but people were asking questions. Now that we've gone into the prep room, they can ask about, well, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Talk to us about the trocar. Talk to us about tissue builder. And we were able to educate, and then came, more and more questions. And I feel like, I'm just going to be really brutally honest here. I feel like there's an expectation for me to show up all the time. And I actually, George Michael says, I'm loving my time with Disrupt. I watch your videos and you're doing a great job. They're amazing at Disrupt. I feel like there's this expectation for me to show up all the time. And a couple weeks ago, it was on a Thursday, I got an email from someone and they had a question for me. And I didn't respond. I thought, well, when I get to it, I'll get to it. And Saturday night rolls around and I got another email from them. Well, I guess you're too busy to answer me, kind of a snarky email. And I'm thinking, first of all, you don't have full access to me all the time. I'm with my family right now. It's Saturday night. And
boundaries.
Yeah. And so I feel like I give a lot of myself to social media, and it's taking, and that's my fault. That's my fault, but I love it. It's kind of a double-edged sword because I love educating, but then you also have to maintain it. And so Saturday nights, I'd be there responding to comments when I really want to be with the boys and our family. So just with Nathan and I being away on vacation, and just having a lot of time to think and reflect, I've decided that we're going to continue doing the videos on our Facebook page, but I think I'm probably going to scale back to maybe, I don't know, 3 a week. And then the ones that require a lot of transparency and a lot of honesty, we're going to put on as the Hearst Turns page. Dakota just commented. He says, Big dog, congrats again. Dakota has been with us since the very beginning. And so, Dakota, you're very much a part of this as well. Congratulations to you as well. We still have to find you an office at the funeral home. Is he going to be with you and Troy back in the closet?
He can hang out with we'll be back in the file rooms. Just give us our TV trays. We're good. And I think a little bit like you talked about it today, that we started as the Hearst Turns. It is not just a Facebook page with the title. It is an actual business. That we have ideas for, that we want to see things grow and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of things coming with that, but it's just going to, again, everything takes time. And, again, we not only have our families, but we also, we have the families that we serve. And like, I think I texted you either last night or the day before when I was like, I haven't really been able to post anything or get anything done because this week was a week full of service for me.
Yeah.
I mean, all week it was something going on. And it is just, we try to find different ways we engage, whether it just be even text posting thing, just posting a text or something like that. But people don't realize the time it takes to you record, and then you have to edit the video, then you gotta go back and read the captions and then reread the captions, making sure everything's spelled right and this type of stuff. So what a video that you see may only be 30 seconds, 60 seconds to a minute and a half may have taken you 4 hours to do.
And early on, I had the time to do that. But then as things moved forward with the new funeral home and then purchasing Harkins, there were days where I was like, my head was exploding because I was trying to do so much. And it's a lot to manage, but this is going to be a positive change. I don't want people to say, oh, we're going to leave the Wagner Elfner page.
No. Stuff's still going to be there.
Yeah. We're not going anywhere. We're just gonna, I don't know. We're gonna shift. I even made an appointment. Did I tell you about my hair appointment that I made? I'm telling you, I'm going through a midlife crisis right now. I'm only 40. I'll be 40 in a couple months. I'm gonna chop my hair off. I'm gonna rebrand. We're gonna rebrand.
I don't think we need to go to that extreme.
Oh no, we're going to that extreme. We're going to that extreme. Yes.
Oh, no.
We're not doing bangs, but we're gonna cut the hair.
Oh God. I told you yesterday, or no, what was it? Wednesday? Wednesday. Oh God, all the days are running together. But I told you on Wednesday, I think what has happened, and from not only being your employee, but being a friend that talks to you and sees you, is that you're going 50,000 different directions because you and Nate are backed up against the wall to May 15th. It seemed like every time you turn around, there was either something wrong here, something wrong with the construction stuff.
Yes.
And you guys have not had time to get away, disconnect, and recharge until this past a week ago? This past week?
Yeah, we left on.
It was Sunday.
We left
Sunday,
after
right?
as the hearse turns. So the 13th, we left on the 13th.
Yeah.
Or 14th.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you guys were drained, and you even say it yourself, like you are happiest when you're able to be funeral directing, be in the prep room caring for individuals. That is where you thrive, and you have not been able to do that this past year.
I've been able to embalm.
Little by little.
Yeah, I've maybe met with 4 families in the last year, but I crave that. I love that connection. I love meeting with them, learning about the individual, that they're trusting us with. The person they're most
Yes.
Yes, I miss that. I miss the art that goes along with setting up for the service. But we had to get this place up. We have to get this place up and running. We got over a big hurdle today, but it's been a lot. With just material, being able to get material. But I want to have this space, and I can't wait to get back in that space and do what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, with us, there's going to be education. There's going to be things on the funeral home pages for those that want to be there. But again, if you want the raw, the nitty gritty, the unfiltered, as the hearse turns, is going to be where that is at.
Yeah.
That way, that those that want to follow the funeral home, the old school folks or things like that don't want to see certain things. Now, if they choose to come over here, that's on them. But on the other side of things, that's where things are going to be more traditional.
To a certain extent, yeah. We're still going to answer questions, but what I'm finding is the videos where we're really transparent and really behind the scenes, those are the videos that are going viral. They're getting a lot of traction and they're bringing some unwanted attention to the business page.
And unfortunately, that attention could affect,
and I don't want
the
that.
business.
Yeah, and we don't want that. There's some people they just.
I mean, and we saw that was a month ago. The video, the down south, the other funeral home, and the people going and leaving reviews negatively.
Hold on. Someone just came in to say hi.
Hey, buddy.
You have to go potty. You have to go potty. Can you give me 1 second?
Good.
Nature is calling.
Is this for helping friends?
Yes, that's for. Max is so cute. When he sees stuff for the new funeral home, he goes, "Is that for helping friends?" So he just found some of the kids' toys for the kids. Is that for helping friends?
Helping friends.
All right, let's go.
And I think one of the things that, like I was saying, we just saw this happen maybe a month ago, where Katharine responded to a question that was sent to her about, whether or not you be able to kiss your loved one. And she said yes, but other people went sideways, and they've actually gone on to the funeral home Facebook and left negative reviews against the business. And those are we cannot do anything about those. You cannot remove them. You cannot petition Facebook and things like that. But to leave a negative review just because we disagree with your friend's video affects the business of the funeral home, because the public sees the negative reviews not knowing what the negative review even consisted of, and just sees, oh my gosh, this funeral home has 1-star reviews, so we don't want to use them, and there's nothing we can do about it. And all it was giving our opinion, our professional opinion, on whether or not you should be able to kiss your loved one. And I mean, those are the types of things. So if you can come over to As the Hearse Turns and review it to the cows come home. It has As the Hearse Turns has nothing to do with Wagner, Elfner, and Harkins, or Wagner, Elfner, and Berg. It is a separate entity. Correct?
Yes.
So I think that's one of the main things that we need to, people need to understand. We may be the faces of all three, but they are separate entities.
Yeah. So do you want to, because we're coming up on 47 minutes, do you want to look through the comments and just address some comments and questions?
Do you have any that you're seeing right off bat? I'm going to scroll back.
So Chris is here. Chris is from Frigid. He says the pink machine. Transparency is the key. That's from Jerry.
Yep.
Jerry also says, great job, both of you. Change is hard for some in the profession. I'm just an apprentice funeral director, and I love your social media takes. Thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate that. I've received a lot of good feedback from older individuals in the profession who have reached out. And I think I've shared this before on social media. There's the one guy in Philly. I think he's probably in his mid 80s. And he calls into our funeral home regularly. And he just says, thank you so much for talking about this. We need to educate, and we have failed to do that. You want to sit with me?
We have a guest host tonight, Maximilian. Is our guest host. Oh, you heard his name, and now he's smiling.
So yeah, it's
Oh, I hear Nate.
We get a mix of comments, but a lot of the pushback is from younger individuals in the profession, which surprises me.
I don't get it, and well, I guess maybe to an extent, like we talked about before, but that's neither here nor there. People are going to, either if you're allowed. But here's the thing: if you want to educate people, because when I started, and this was before I came on board with you and Nate, I was doing social media, but I never once, and I think we talked about this, prior to me coming on board with you guys, I never once really put my firm into any of my social media.
Right.
I completely kept it separate out of respect for the firm because I didn't know how they felt about that.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do things. It's just up to you. So if you can't sit there and say, well, I'm handcuffed and I'm shackled and can't do this and I can't do that. You know what I mean? If you want to do something, you can do something. You just have to make sure you're CYAing yourself when you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I cross all my T's and dot all my I's. And another, a friend of mine who is a funeral director, we had the same thing happen to us a couple weeks ago. We were getting ready to record, and you could see the reflection of the person in the embalming tank. And fortunately, as I was like getting my camera ready to record, I thought, ooh, that is not a good angle because you can see the person. I mean, I'm very particular about where that camera is positioned and are there reflections.
I mean, even the one that I did where I was putting on PPE before actually injecting, it's like I'm in a corner completely facing the other direction. There's no way you're going to be able to see the loved one that I'm caring for. Kathy Coates said, some people really need to get a life and not comment on what they don't have any knowledge about.
Amen to that.
Right.
There's a lot of people that know more about what we do than we do. I found that online.
Yes. Brandon says, as a manager of 3 locations, I love your content. I think you are the ones to follow and be like in the industry. I told my team about you all last week. Thank you, Brandon. We do appreciate that. Tabby Sargent. She said, I have a question. I was watching an episode of Columbo, and they were able to solve a murder based on the victim's contact lens missing. Do you folks remove them, or is that more of a coroner? I don't know if I've ever removed a contact lens, Catherine.
I had my first embalming recently, and the person had contact lenses, and I removed them before I put eye caps in.
Did it like, was it slip to where you could notice it?
I think when I just went to go open up the eye, I noticed something moving around. I thought, oh, that's a contact lens.
Okay. I mean, if I see it like that, yeah, I would remove it, but I don't believe I have never personally removed a contact lens from anyone.
Well, and a lot of times when people come to us from having an autopsy, the eyes have been removed.
Yes. Or a cornea donation where those are donated, things like that. Let's see.
I was at a coroner's office today out of the area, and while I was there talking with one of the guys, I said, I have been in contact with Lehigh Valley to watch an autopsy, and I just can't seem to make it work, with my schedule and the distance. And he says, well, you can watch an autopsy here, and told me when they have them scheduled. So I'm going to go in.
Really?
I think I'm going to wait till after Easter, but they start early in the morning. And I said, could I spend like half a day with the pathologist? And they said, yeah, absolutely.
So that'd be interesting to talk about. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and when I went into the lab today to bring the individual into our care, of course I'm like, I only have a couple minutes in here. I want to see as much as I can see. And I was looking at the instruments and the tools that they use and got to see the saw. So
yeah, the bone saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very interesting.
So Tommy and Angela Witt, I believe. I do have a question. So when mom died, we rented the casket, but they didn't change the lining. They took the body before out and placed mom in. There was lipstick and all kinds of stuff all over the inside of the casket. Why wouldn't they have changed that?
That's odd.
I mean, so for our rental caskets, our rental caskets are wood. We don't work with our supplier doesn't have rental steel caskets. And the way it's designed is The foot end of the casket has like a hook and eye hook and latch. It unlatches, and then that bottom will fold down. And then literally the whole interior of the casket comes out in one piece, which is now the cremation container that the loved one should stay in. That has the interior in it. So now there is some stationary fabric in a rental casket around, your top rolls. And I've even seen some that has an overhang that's stationary, an overlay. So if there was cosmetics on the overlay that's stationary, that's not going to be changed. But the physical interior of the casket should be removed out. And then another insert, is what we call them, would be placed inside, and the loved one will be placed inside the insert. So if you physically saw them remove a loved one from a casket and then put your loved one in, that wouldn't be something we would practice whatsoever.
Max has been like Velcro lately. He just wants to be with me all the time.
Nothing wrong with that. I saw Buddy got taking the daycare on piggyback rides.
Yeah. We can't wait for the nice weather and to be in the new funeral home, because all we have to do is just walk right over to daycare and bring him back.
Well, he can just ride his little scooter. He was zipping around the sidewalks on it the other day. I saw that video.
That was last night. We took Sam's dirt bike down and his scooter and just let them ride around. And that was when, okay, spoiler alert, that's when we drew the chalk drawings and we just crossed our fingers that we would pass inspection. I said, well, it's going to rain tonight, so it'll wash away. If we don't pass inspection, no one will see it.
Somebody asked, is this a local funeral director who made these offensive remarks to you?
No, he is based out of New York, Albany.
Somebody did say, Susan asked, question, if the eyes are removed, are there just big holes, but your eye caps fill the hole? So we actually have to rebuild the eye. I know some people will use treated Webril, and then put the eye cap on top of that, and then the eyelid and the eyelids do not touch; they gently abut type of situation. That's what we're taught in school, to create that appearance. And then normally, once you're done in arterial injection, even once the eye caps are in, I still see where the eyes will still sink in a little. And I think that's where Feature Builder really helps, because then you can go in, use Feature Builder to make them protrude a little bit more and give them a little bit more pronounced figure. And then Tommy said, and Angela said, to follow up, it was the removable cremation container.
So that would be the insert. What did you do?
So Tommy, you're saying they took a decedent out of one insert without removing that at all, and then placed your loved one into that same insert. I'm just curious to see what I mean. Again, that is not. I don't agree with that. Whatever firm would have done something like that, that's cutting corners. We do not operate like that. The decedent would be removed from the rental casket in that insert. A new insert's placed in, and then normally the casket's closed and it waits for the next loved one that's going to use the rental casket. Let's see. Pamela. Extremely, exactly jealous of what you do and how you're doing it. So many people love you and your information. Please keep doing it for us who love learning.
Pam's awesome. We love her.
Carla, thank you, Catherine, for educating, making the aftermath of death more understandable and less scary. Enjoy your educational videos from Missouri.
Thank you, Carla. I really appreciate that.
Now, Chris makes a good point here. It's time they teach death and dying in public school like they teach home ec. I don't even know if they teach home ec anymore. That might be giving our age away, Chris. And I know they don't teach driver's ed either. I don't think they taught driver's ed when I went to school. Did they teach driver's ed when you went to school?
I think they did, but remember, I wasn't in public school. I went away to Bagnell school. No, I wasn't bad.
All right, so Chris is giving away his age because you and we're not that far apart.
I'm actually older than you
by a couple months.
Yeah. We would I think we would go behind the PennDOT building on Queen Street and practice parallel parking on the weekends, and yeah, but
that was that school that would take you there?
No, because I don't know.
All right, so Tommy says yes, that is correct. I watched them do this process as I was the one who did her hair and questioned this practice and was told that's how the rental casket works.
That's not how it works.
No, that is absolutely a lie. Either they did not have another insert, which is no excuse, but
yeah,
that insert should be changed out after every single left one. That should not have happened. Flat out.
So you're reading comments from the Harkins side?
I think I'm on the Harkins side. Yep. And then I'm also looking at what's coming through here in the chat. Amy says, you would think that they would all be supportive of you.
Not the case.
Lee is watching from the United Kingdom, Scotland, to be exact. Now, you know what, no, Lee, are you a funeral professional? Are you a director or an undertaker over there? Because you know what I think would be cool, and we'd have to figure out the time difference. But getting a funeral director from the UK or Scotland and talking about the differences.
That would be awesome.
Because I want to find an Irish funeral director because I really want to talk about an Irish wake. I think that would be a blast because I've talked about it today and the other day about how funerals shouldn't always have to be, a woe is me type of situation. And that's like the sort of the funeral today. They literally had a party to celebrate this person's life. And it was unlike it. Now, it was a 2-hour funeral and there were literally 20 pastors, but it was a funeral that I have never seen before in all my years of being in the profession. And it was phenomenal. And I think that's where, with education and explaining to people what personalization and customization of services is how we are going to continue to grow and make the funeral more valuable and personable to individuals. Because right now, the cookie cutter funeral doesn't cut it anymore. Because everybody's like, well, why? Why do we need to have a funeral? If you've seen one, you've seen them all. But why does it have to be like that? And those are going to be those are going to be a lot of the conversation we have with, I'm going to butcher his name. Breland,
yeah.
Breland, coming up soon in April. Because I'm really, and again, and I get a little teaser into that, the funeral profession is extremely segregated still. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to talk about. And then when I say segregated, it's not the fact that Caucasian funeral homes will not serve minorities or vice versa. It is just that it's because of cultural differences that there's a comfort level. And I think that conversation is going to be a really good conversation that people are going to want to tune in for. I personally like the pink embalming machine. You're in the business that it isn't all sunshine and roses. So if you have something in the prep room to make your job a little easier, go for it. People think that funeral directors make a ton of money. They don't realize the expenses that you have to make funerals something that the family can be proud of. Plus, you have expensive to keep the funeral home up and running. I wish you were closer to me. I would definitely use your funeral home.
Thank you. We love the pink embalming machine, and we get great results with it. And that's what matters. We want to make sure that those individuals look their very best and are taken care of properly.
Somebody asked, what was the heaviness that you experienced today? And I don't know how in depth you want to go.
Yeah. I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll just say it was one of those very unnatural deaths. We talk about unnatural deaths, socially negated deaths. For example, drug overdoses, the death of a child, suicides. It was one of those calls, and it weighs on you. And it was bittersweet because we received the call and I walked into inspection, and we passed inspection, and I was like, yay, we passed inspection. But the reality is now we have to focus on this family that just suffered one of the most tragic deaths you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one of those weekends where it's going to be really hard for me to not think about it. So people ask, how do you keep your work from seeping into your personal life? Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult because we're human.
It is. And if it didn't bother us, we should stop.
Yeah.
If it did not bother you, or if it did not bother us as licensed professionals, that's when you need to stop offering. That's when you need to stop in the profession.
Yeah.
Michael said, those who disparage funeral directors and think it's all about money are not deep thinkers and have no idea what the totality of the world is like, and they would never do what we do. Amen. Amen. Somebody said they need to take a timeout. we have a timeout bathroom in Harkins. That's the bathroom under the stairs. I call it the timeout bathroom.
Did you clean that out?
Yeah, it's used for the public.
I didn't. Oh,
Under
you mean
the
those?
stairs.
There's another bathroom back where the apartment steps are. I didn't even know that bathroom.
That was a closet.
Yes.
That's a bathroom?
It's a bathroom. They stored the flower stands in there because when I was cleaning out after we bought it, I'm vacuuming one day and I'm on my hands and knees scrubbing the floors, and I go to open the store. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I see all these stands and a toilet back in the corner. Check it out next time you're down there.
I'm going to have to look on Monday. I do like this comment. This comment, we are going to have to keep this and brand this. So John says that my father always said his access was 9 to 5 for the living and 24 hours for the deceased.
That's great. Oh my.
As to Hurst Terms, that's a great name. Let's see. Somebody said, if you cut your hair, send it to have wigs made for the cancer center. You're not cutting your hair.
I'm cutting my hair.
You're not going to cut your hair.
I have the appointment scheduled. I'm cutting my hair.
You're not going to cut your hair. Like, what's going to happen? All right, so okay. If you were to cut your hair and then your hair is there and it's all that hair and it gets into the wrong hands, what if somebody makes like a voodoo doll of it with your hair? Do you want that?
Once the hair is gone, the hair is gone. I don't care.
Okay.
I need a refresher. We're rebranding, remember?
I gotcha. Let's see. I guess it's here. Did the veil of secrecy start? I recently casually asked a funeral director when they purchased caskets. The response was where they purchased caskets. The response was defensive, and he acted like I asked him for his checking account balance.
What's the secret?
I don't know what because literally the manufacturer's sticker 99.9% of the time is on the foot end of the casket. So that again, it's just people have this ego mentality, and it's just, I don't know why.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be that's going to be the trending topic this week.
Someone did ask on the thread too about where we purchase our caskets. I buy all of our caskets from Matthews. We actually just entered into another contract with them, and Chris purchases his caskets down at Harkins from Matthews as well.
Yep.
So, and actually Geek Squad was at the new funeral home this morning setting up our TVs, which is going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
families will be able to walk up to a TV on a stand, and they'll be able to kind of, start from scratch and build a casket. And then the price will pop up. It's like you go on to GMC to build a car. You get your price right there. Families will be able to customize it, as much as they want. And I am so excited about that. Can't wait.
I think that'd be really neat because, again, you're now engaging more of the arrangement process. They're more hands-on and involved. I think that'd be really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, again, sometimes these conversations, and I guess these are therapeutic venting sessions for you and I too.
Yes.
Because people see only a portion of what we put out there. They don't see everything that comes in. And I made the post, what was it, I think, while you were away, where I even screenshotted the comments that have been sent. And it's like, you know what? Here's the thing. If you're going to have the audacity to put the comment out there, I'm going to screenshot and share it. I'm going to increase your following. If that's the type of person you want to be, that's the type of person you're going to be.
I'm going to do like one of those Saturday Night Live roasts at the end of the year. I have so many screenshots.
Yes. I mean, the sad part is some of the screenshots we have are because they're very threatening.
Yes.
It's there's a difference in someone complaining and just being rude, and then also actually threatening possible harm to yourself or your family. And we keep those for in case anything were to ever happen.
Yeah.
And I think you've even put it out there. We keep these. I mean, you can say now there is a record of what you've said.
Right.
Let's see, Sandra. I've always wondered, as a funeral director, do you have to attend class? Now, we do take counseling. I took funeral counseling in mortuary school. And again, that there was a comment made earlier about burnout and things like that in the funeral industry. And there are resources that are available for funeral directors that need, to have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see a lot of very heavy things and things that we hope you never see. We see more frequently than anyone else.
Yeah.
So, NFDA is a big proponent of that, where if you're a member of the National Funeral Directors Association, you do have access 24 hours a day to, like a counseling hotline if you need to talk to somebody and things like that.
Hey, speaking of NFDA, I want to touch on the one comment that was left on that post that you read early on in the live.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. So if you're new here, welcome. Chris and I were texting at 7 a.m. this morning because he came across a post in a group that we're in for funeral directors and embalmers. And essentially it was that someone was irritated with funeral directors who were using caskets to educate, and just felt like more directors out there are focused on becoming influencers rather than focusing on funeral directing. And someone had commented, they said, "I wish our associations would step in. It seems like we have some people wanting to be influencers more than undertakers." And I texted that to Chris and I said, what are the associations going to do? And maybe what these people don't realize, especially this individual that commented, is associations are contacting us.
Yeah. Where are you going?
Where am I going? I'm going to ICCFA out in Texas. We were asked to promote the event for them on social media, along with many other funeral directors that are out there on social media. I was contacted by PFDA to briefly chat about our social media marketing. And I've been asked to go out. I haven't committed yet. I don't know where things stand. Haven't really made a decision. I've been asked to speak at a cemetery association meeting in Kentucky next June.
That's all good to go, by the way. I finally got the information from the folks in Nashville too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So if you, they're up and they're a decent organization.
I mean, what we're doing is not illegal. What are these associations going to say? We don't talk about what you're talking about. Stop doing it. No, they're coming to us saying, we want your help.
NFDA has shared a ton of my content. Last year, I did a lot of programs. I did the NFDA Meet the Mentor program in Washington, D.C. So Nate doesn't ride me for Washington. And also did the NFDA Advocacy Summit on Capitol Hill. And a lot of the stuff I shared social media wise. Well, NFDA turned around and has reshared a lot of my content. They reached out to me shortly after that, and I was published in the Director magazine by the NFDA by writing an article for them. So the associations embrace this, because let me tell you something. Associations are dying because of the good old boy network. And because they don't want to change. They don't want to be anything other than, oh, let's get together, let's have dinner, and let's talk about how much we're going to charge to rent cars to one another type of BS. And I'm serious. That's what it is. And there's no local organizations. There are some that are phenomenal, but others, there is never something that actually benefits a licensee. But you want me to send you money, you want me to pay dues to your organization, but what is the reciprocity? What are we getting back as a licensee? I gotta stop getting all those soapboxes. Amy said, my grandfather passed away in Florida. I already know where this is going. And was embalmed before his final flight to Minnesota for his services. He looked awful and not recognizable. Are you able to re-embalm to fix what other funeral homes have done?
She didn't even, I shouldn't say this. She didn't even need to mention the state.
No.
And that's unfortunate.
I don't think I've ever re-embalmed someone, so to speak. I have had to correct cosmetic work or try and figure out dyes and things like that. I have had folks come that have been overly embalmed, and if you overly embalm someone, depending on your chemicals that you use and things like that, you can turn someone gray. Formaldehyde gray is a real thing.
Yeah.
So to actually re-inject a person, I think would do more harm than good. You're going to cause extreme desiccation and dehydration if you were to go back and re-embalm someone. So that's where, again, a good embalmer sits down. There's no such thing as cookie cutter embalming. Every solution is different for every single individual because every single individual is different. Whether you need to use a humectant or a surfactant, the difference being one will add moisture to individual to help make them look fuller, or someone that may be really edematous, which is swollen, retaining a lot of fluid. You might want to, use a surfactant or humectant to draw that out so that they're not as large. Things like that.
And I want to go back and say that I'm sure there are some wonderful embalmers in the state of Florida. For whatever reason, Florida just does not have the best reputation when it comes to embalming. I don't know why.
Dan said my favorite was when someone saying that they were calling the state board. Your response was perfect. Call us and ask to speak to Chad since he's on the state board. Perfect response.
Yeah. What's the state board going to do? I'm not doing anything illegal. Yeah, you're worried about me getting out there and educating, but oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on and on and on.
So I actually got a text message. So Veronica is a funeral director in Maryland, and she was actually the embalmer who I learned to embalm from.
Okay.
When I was serving my apprenticeship. So she says, this is the first time I've watched and it's entertaining. I'm somewhere between the old school and the new. Katharine mentioned keeping it light on the funeral home page and using the podcast to go in depth. And I think that's a great idea. I want you to know I'm truly happy for you. You seem to be in the place you're meant to be in right now. Keep being real. P.S. What you sipping on there? I'm just drinking a Pepsi. And no, we're not sponsored, but if Pepsi wants to sponsor us, I'd be more than happy.
There's my tea bags.
I mean, there are, and sometimes you know, again, I don't need validation or anything like that, but sometimes just hearing, you know, what we're doing is good makes you feel good. And because I mean, we see a lot, again, the amount of negativity that we see that the public doesn't see is a huge thing. And I don't care how strong you are. You said that, you know, about a backbone and all like that, but you know what? We're still humans. And you know,
It does, yeah, it does affect you.
You know, what's that old saying, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. And that's again,
Right.
that's a crock. You know, words do hurt. And it's I've always explained to Skylar, and you know, oh, your mouth is like a loaded gun. Once those words go out, just like a bullet, there's no way to take them back.
Right.
So, and what's sad is that, you know, we were talking about how sometimes we'll sit there and we'll draft a response and a comment, and you know, you sit there and you think, and then you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to delete that.
Not worth it. Yeah.
But that's the therapy. And to show that the folks didn't think to stop and delete the comment, just they're a-holes. That's my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. And this, you know, sometimes just typing out a response and not sending it, or like when I came down to Harkins the other day, you and I had a heart to heart in the prep room, and I just, you know, talked to you. Our work can be heavy at times, and just trying to manage life and funeral service and everything. We need people who get it. We need people who get it. And I have that in you. And I hope you know that you can always lean on me, but we have a good support system. We all do.
Oh, absolutely. Michael asked, when entering a Catholic church, is the casket rolled in head or feet first for the service? Is there a protocol? He's always wondered. This is actually on the national board exam. Do you remember?
I've only ever done one Catholic service, and I think
there isn't a lot of Catholic churches up here.
You go in, hold on a second. Do you go in feet first?
What's the only way you would go in head first?
If we would go in head first, if it's, I don't know, a clergy member?
If it's a priest, because they're facing their flock.
Okay.
Yep. And do you know when you leave the church, do you know, so you know, because you're going to go back out feet first. Mm-hmm. So the casket's going to go to the right, to the left, and then back down the center aisle. The reason they do that is because you make the sign of the cross with the casket as you're leaving the church.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Catholic churches in Maryland. We did a lot of Catholic services. But yeah, and then everybody else was saying, and a good old George here. I think I spoke to, is George, is he, are you like in Massachusetts or Connecticut or Maine?
No, he's here. I think he's here in PA.
Is he in PA? I remember someone called and was on the fence about like wanting to use Disrupt. They called the funeral home and asked me, and we talked, but I think they were from like up northeast.
Let me see.
I mean, he's got the PA State Police, Phoenixville.
Did he respond back to you?
Yeah, it's in the chat here. Where's Phoenixville? I only know Lancaster and where Target and Sam's Club is in West and East York. I don't get out much.
At least you know how to pronounce Lancaster.
Now,
like Lancaster.
You know that and washing the car.
You wash the car.
There's no R in wash apparently.
My grandma says wash, and she says yellow. No,
okay, so
yellow.
So George is out by Tim. He's like Valley Forge, King of Prussia area. Okay. But yeah, no, I think this was a Good Friday. No, not Good Friday yet. I think that Good Friday is next Friday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was a Good Friday evening conversation, and you know we may spontaneously just do these more, but you know I thought it was like you said, you know, you were ready to answer some comments and all like that, and I said, well, let's get through today, get this stuff done, and let's just pop on live and have conversations with people. Again, it's been this is the first time it's dropped down to 80 in an hour and 20 minutes. So
awesome. Good. You
And
could be anywhere tonight. You're hanging out here with us, and we appreciate that.
On a Friday.
Yeah.
On a Friday. So again, we have April 13th.
7th.
April 7th. With Breland, and he is from, what is his firm's name?
They're in Georgia, and he is.
Did you know his mom was a funeral director and had a firm too?
I think I did know that, yes. And I met Breland out in Chicago at the NFDA conference because they were really debating on getting on board with social media marketing. And I said, do it. Because he does it on his personal page, but then they were wanting to do it on the business page. So they linked up with Disrupt. So
Harkin's funeral home was live a few days ago, and the casket was not in the same room. So this is a Delta thing. The casket is not in the same room as the quote unquote chapel. The casket is in a separate room that has doors there, and the clergy stands outside that room, and that's how the chapel is set up. But yeah, no, the casket is not out with the general public. And then normally there's a receiving line. So as family members and relatives come in and sign the register book, they'll gather into a line, they'll work their way through that room, and they can come out another door back into the main chapel. But that is how it is always set up. It has not changed since I've taken over down there and since Katharine and Ada purchased it.
Don't change anything else.
No. And we got to plant trees.
And with that,
he is a funeral director and embalmer with Bernard's Family Funeral Care out of I'm guessing Connors, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a young man. He is very well spoken, very well mannered. He called me while you guys were on vacation. I got to speak to him for a little while. And cool thing about it is him and I are both alumni of the same mortuary school. So it'd be nice to have that conversation too.
I think his brother's in mortuary school as well, isn't he?
I don't know. He didn't say anything about that. But he did say that, his dad has one firm, and then his mother has another firm in I think Atlanta. So it'd definitely be interesting to see the differences down south. Yeah. Because again, every state, even from Maryland to Pennsylvania, how things are done is completely different. Maryland doesn't have a receiving line. You kind of come in, you mingle, you gather, and do that type of thing. There's no formal structure to a viewing or a visitation. But here in PA, it's different. And then Tabitha says, I follow you, Katharine. You seem to have such a kind soul.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Jenny said, I viewed the Harkin service as a student. I'm using any type of funeral service as experience to see the types of different services. Well, congratulations. If you go back on a lot of funeral home social media pages, if you go back to 2020, you will see a ton of different services because everything was just live streamed there.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely. And then now you guys will be live streaming more, or is that just going to be an option at the new?
Yeah. So we will be live streaming. We'll have the ability to live stream services from our funeral home. We've partnered with a company called Life Celebrations. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to come out and say that. I'm just going to say it. So we've signed a contract with Life Celebrations, and we are the only funeral home within maybe like a 60-mile radius that will offer life celebration funeral services. And they do extremely personalized register books, memorial folders,
everything.
Blankets. We're going to meet with the families and get them to bring in personal belongings that, if the individual was, say, an Orioles fan and they had an Orioles baseball cap and blanket, bring that. And we want to personalize that room so that when families walk into that room, the chapel, that room is that person. We want it to be a reflection of who they were, what they loved, and all the TVs on the walls. Those are going to each have individual images of the individual. And just, this was a big deal for us. I actually came across Life Celebrations through another funeral home's Facebook page. And I thought, what is this room? What are they doing here? And I called the guy and I said, tell me more about this. It was actually James O'Donnell Funeral Home. And I talked to the owner and I said, talk to me about this Life Celebrations program. And so we partnered with them and we're pumped. Can't wait.
Now, did Life Celebrations assist during the 3 officers' funerals?
Yes, they donated all of the register books, all the memorial folders. They donated blankets. They donated, they stepped in. They were amazing. Everyone, our community, we have an awesome community. Funeral Gifts also sent us blankets. That's another company that we've worked with here and there. But yeah, there's so much that you can do to personalize funeral services now. It's amazing. And a lot of people don't know this. So this is why we got to keep educating and talking about it.
Exactly. Good morning from Australia. Have been following you and loving how transparent you are. As a nurse, it makes me wonder what happens here in Australia behind the closed doors of our funeral homes. I believe there are a couple on TikTok funeral directors from Australia that kind of do the same thing. Yep, we'll be doing the live streaming. Katharine has talked about that. But I think that, again, it's a good time. I think, we've answered some questions. I think we got across the message that we wanted to get across, and we'll reiterate it a little bit more on the funeral home pages.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just like you said, you're rebranding. You're not going to cut your hair or anything crazy like that. But you're just moving in a different direction, and what's going to be put out there. You're not going to dye it, are you?
Gosh, no.
Okay, I was going to say you're not going to dye it, are you?
No. Just we're going to do a little rebranding on the business page, and just, I don't know, maybe get back to some of the basics. Why do I do what I do? What are we able to do for families? What do families say about the services? Why do families come back to us?
I wish we could find a family that would want to come on and sit down and talk with us and do a live.
I have some, and I'm going to be contacting them.
Yeah, I think that would be, because to hear their perspective, because everybody hears our perspective and those families that have encountered that, but to hear feedback from a family that we worked with directly, I think that would be a really, really nice conversation.
Yeah. Actually, one of the family members was watching tonight, and they're always, I don't know, I love that family, but that was a really special funeral service, and I think that they would be willing to chat with us. So maybe I'll reach out and see, but yeah.
So, like I said, we've got the April 7th, 6 p.m. here. I don't think we're going to be able to stream to the page directly by April. I think it's going to be May, where once that happens, we won't be streaming these to the funeral home pages. It'll be streamed to the YouTube page for As the Hearse Turns, our personal accounts, we're probably your Katharine Wagner mortician page.
Yeah.
My page, things like that. Just so, again, we're going to separate the funeral home side of things from this side of things. Now, you can still contact us through any of the pages. You can submit questions, but just some things may not be answered on those pages. That'll be more over on this side of things. All right. You got anything else?
No, I want to just say, because I get in my head sometimes, I will never complain. I will never complain about the amount of questions we get or the engagement on our page. I love it. And I love you guys. I love everyone that engages with us and supports us. It means so much. But I think that people understand that we've just come to a point where the funeral home is wrapping up and we need to just refocus a little bit. And so please don't take that as, we just don't want to do this anymore. That's not the case at all. We need to shift things around, but we love you. And we're
still going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be, it's going to be like a mullet. It's going to be business in the front, party in the back.
Gosh.
You are going to be laying there with Nate tonight and laughing when you think about that.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be like a mullet.
It is. It's going to be a mullet.
And then, did you just post to the Ask the Hearse page, or did you have something scheduled to post? Because something you posted a video 30 minutes ago. Happy Friday.
Huh?
A video just posted 30 minutes ago to Ask the Hearse Turns page. Did you schedule that?
I'm not seeing that. I'm on right now.
It's at 30 minutes ago. So excited you're here with us, for friends. Happy Friday.
On the As the Hearse Turns page, I'm on the page right now and I'm not seeing that video.
See? Because I was like, hold on, she's live. How did she do that?
Oh. I wonder if Max did something on my phone because he was hitting something on my phone. Oh, I'll delete it because we don't need 2 videos. Whoops.
I was like, hold on, what?
Yeah, he was sitting here hitting something. Okay, we're good. Deleted.
But
he shared it twice. He's just trying to get the point across. All right. Well, this was awesome. I'm glad we did this. No matter what, I'm still going to take the hearse to public events when it's requested.
Yes.
I think it's a conversation starter. If we have kids that ask, hey, can we sit in the driver's seat? And, what's this and what's this and what's this? We're going to be there to answer questions. It's not used as a prop to mock what we do by any means. It's our community appreciates it, and we're going to continue doing that. We're not stopping.
Yeah, and I mean, we've even taken our kids to school in the hearse. It's been a Halloween. Well, I don't know if you guys are going to continue going to the middle school, but I know me and Skylar will continue through her intermediate school because we can't let her principal down. She looks forward to it now every year. But those are, again, and my concern is for us to say we shouldn't bring a hearse to a career day or something like that is we're now again starting at an even younger age to start indoctrinating people to be a death denying culture. And, we already do that enough as it is. And I don't think we need to start any younger. I think we should, and again, Chris mentioned it, teaching death and dying as a part of a curriculum, even if it wouldn't be mandatory, but maybe an elective for folks that would want to be interested in the mortuary sciences and moving forward.
Thanatology.
Yep. And this is Veronica. This is one to text me. I completely respect that. You'll have a place for the masses to follow and a place for those who will want to know more. It's a nice balance.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the support.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap it up. And again, you can find us on the Harkins page. You can find us on the Wagner, Alpner, and Berg page. But again, we really want to get the folks that want to continue following for these types of conversations, the more behind the scenes, the more real, raw portion to just move on over. Make sure you're following us here because that's where that content's going to be. But thank you for, again, spending your Friday evening with us. And we can't wait to do it again. What are we, a week, 2 weeks away now? 2 weeks away.
So I get my haircut in 2 weeks. Okay.
So that's going to be the live debut.
Yes.
So if you get it cut, you cannot post any videos until you go live.
Well, I might, if I don't like it, I'm going to
wear a wig.
If I don't like it, I'm going to be sick that day. I'm going to be texting you thinking, oh my gosh, what did
my camera just doesn't work.
Yeah. No, we'll see. Well, I'm going to go to bed. This is the exciting life that we live here. Friday
All right,
night, 7:40. I'm tired.
that's what I told you when we started. I was like, I mean, again, it's just been a long week, and
Yeah.
you give a lot, and you're just worn out and exhausted. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna cut out here and hang tight for 1 second. Let me push the